The Lord's most merciful gift to mankind is the freedom to choose. This is why every person has the freedom to choose between good and evil. When some apathetic people blame God for war and hunger, they should remember that they were given the freedom to choose. Since the moment of birth, people fight the two selves within, the good one and the bad one. The choice between good and evil depends on the strength of the human spirit. Let us remember that compassion and the lack thereof isn't specific to classes. This is why it is important for the new millennium to nurture ideas and creativity. Because creative people, guided by visions, won't be creating for their own sake, but for the community too. Creative people realize that global warming isn't a natural process, but a product of human greed. Yes, ideas are worth much more than oil and gas, because visionaries can create a synergy between nature and man, instead of being an enemy to the sun and the wind, because then mankind will have a much more powerful driving force in the shape of the wind and the sun than we have in oil and gas now. Oil and gas are monopolized by a small group of people, while the sun and wind cannot be monopolized. Just like us humans, the sun is the work of the same creator, and thus it belongs to everyone, not just to a certain group of people. This way, there would be much less poverty in the world than there is today. We should never forget those values that make us human: compassion, love, honesty, conscience, and faith. I don't know much about victories, but I am sure of one thing, that compassion is a victory of the human spirit. Let us not forget that a strong spirit is a person's best ally in times of temptation. In the thick forest of temptation, a man without conscience is like a lamp without oil. To create values for the benefit of society makes everyone happy, including the person who creates them, lest we forget that being alone in one's happiness is the worst of miseries. This is why it is important to promote these noble values and ethics at the elite universities, not just success at any cost in one's career, be it politics, law, business, or whatever. Great dreamer and writer Charles Dickens once said that it's the imagination that makes the writer, and I would add that the imagination is what creates ideas, and ideas create visionaries. The more vivid the imagination and dreams, the greater the visions. The internet was created thanks to visions, as well as social networks that connect people. Independent electronic bookstores like Amazon, who became a beacon for many a writer and poet. I believe that the world's dictators, greedy bankers, and corporations would pay in gold to make the internet disappear, because it would make them masters of the truth. If it wasn't for the internet, this article would never reach the hearts of mankind. Yes, my dear friends, dreams and ideas are worth much more than oil and gas, because visionaries can create a synergy between nature and man, instead of being an enemy to the sun and the wind, because then mankind will have a much more powerful driving force in the shape of the wind and the sun than we have in oil and gas now. Let's not fool ourselves. Global warming is not a natural process, it's the result of human greed. I believe, like the bravest girl in the world, Malala, and many other dreamers, in the freedom of the individual, and because of this I also believe that no one can prohibit compassion, faith, and love, all of which are things that a person either does or does not have within them. Creative people who create values towards the greater good become free visionaries, and those who keep adding to their wealth become slaves to greed. Yes, scientists shall clone the human embryo in their laboratories tomorrow, and they shall reprogram somatic cells, thus creating a human clone, but never will there be a scientist who will be able to create a soul which provides humans with feelings, and we know that feelings give birth to compassion and love. However, we must never forget that they are great scientists, were religious. Albert Einstein was religious, the physician Sir Isaac Newton too, as well as Louis Pasteur, William Calvin, Leonardo da Vinci, Nikola Tesla. After all, immortal poets and writers like Fyodor Mikhailovich Dostoevsky, Tolstoy, Charles Dickens, Frost Yesenen, Whitman Lorca, Charles Dickens. They created immortal works of art through a strong spirit and faith. Some skeptics will smirk at this, skeptically saying that they only believe in what they can see, but the noblest of things cannot be seen. You cannot see love, but we ourselves are the best proof that it exists. You cannot see air, but we know that it exists, because we wouldn't be able to live without it. We cannot see the wind, but we can feel it. We cannot see the warmth of the sun, but we can also feel it. This bond between nature and humans is the best proof of the Creator's existence. Yes, I was a skeptic, too, during my youth, believing only those things that can be seen with one's eyes. Still, now that my life's ship is sailing faster than it ever did on this ocean of temptation, I can safely say that the human soul is the sacred home to our fragile humanity. There are many religions, but there is only one overarching faith, and those who respect the religion of others is closest to faith, as are those who respect other people like they respect themselves. I have learned to respect other religions like my own because after all, they all have their roots in the one faith we all have in common. To respect the feelings of the faithful and to respect other religions means that you are tolerant and wise because you want to learn, and what is most valuable in life, you have peace and serenity in life. When they ask me about what patriotism means to me, I calmly answer that those who help others are the greatest patriots, and if people in different countries would think along these lines, there would be a lot less poor people, dictatorships and wars in the world.